Yeah, so I think we're back live streaming. The stream has stopped a couple of times, and during that stint, Lawrence now takes the lead. The gap is 1.2 seconds there. Robbie Jacobs has overtaken Eric finally. What I'm about to mention before that happened is I'm surprised Robbie didn't overtake him beforehand to try and get after Lucas, but on the tail immediately, and he overtakes for P3. So Eric is back up into P3. We're on lap 10 out of 27 then, so it looks like the media compound tyre runners will be starting to pit very soon in this race. I don't see the rain on its way shortly, as we see some more battling down there too. We've got Sasha side by side with the Alpine Yosko. We go wheel to wheel in the first sector, and Sasha, oh, they're tag wheels, and off the track goes Yosko, and he's in the grass too. That was never going to end well. You can see that coming from a mile away, and Yosko unfortunately down into P8 ahead or behind Sasha now, who goes up into P7 there. There was just not enough space there, and it's something you expect because it's so tight going through the first sector. But the stream is back and hopefully remains as well. I do have some dodgy internet. I'm not quite sure why. It just keeps happening as well. So I really do apologise about my terrible internet. But hopefully there's no more drama from here on in. And so this is the situation. Lawrence leads ahead of Lucas. I think Lucas's tyres are starting to get the ghost down in P2 because he started to lose significant time towards Lawrence there. The gap is 1.5 seconds, so I think the Williams driver may be looking for pit stops, but I'm surprised that the likes of Eric and Robbie Jacobs have not really caught up to Milan.
Yeah, indeed, Lucas still 1.6 seconds behind, but Eric still unable to close that gap to Lucas. But if I were Lucas, I would just wait a couple of laps because the fight between Octavia and Colin is heating up as always. And I've been looking on their onboards for the past couple of laps, and I've seen some outrageous dives. So safety car might just be around the corner, but Olivo is not going to wait for it because he's going to come to the pit lane as his mediums are absolutely shredded here on lap 11. And he's the first one to make his pit stop. Now, I did see in the chat just before the race that Robbe, he called it fake rain. So something tells me that only the last weather slot on the weather could be wet weather. So that is why they all went for the hard tires, and maybe the others believed that it wouldn't be raining towards the end. So we'll see eventually if the rain comes around, but I think for the time being it's going to be staying dry as Olivo is into the pit lane as well. He's gone to a set of hard tires. Ulbis into the pit lane as well to replace his front wing, and he's going to a set of mediums, so he definitely hopes that there's going to be rain. Otherwise it's not going to be quite easy to make it to the end. 16 laps on those medium tires, so he's going to have to hope for rain or some sort of safety car. Look at the gap at the front. Lucas now almost 3 seconds behind Laurens, and he's completely fallen into the clutches of Eric now within 0.3 of a second. So I think a pit stop for Lucas is imminent, as Laurens is running away with this race for the time being, and Eric and Robbe would like to get ahead of the Williams driver as soon as possible. Fireblaze in P5 still is going strong the mediums as well, but he's not closing in on those drivers ahead of him anymore, so he might have to make a pit stop quite soon as well. And is Lucas going to pull into the pit lane as he slides his way in towards the final chicane on the right hand side as Olivo? He picks up a 3-second time penalty unfortunately there on his brand new set of hard tires, but Lucas is coming into the pit lane as he slams into the wall there, but fortunately gets it stopped just in time in order to not pick himself a 10-second time penalty for speeding, as Fireblaze into the pit lane as well, and so is Mark, who also started on the medium tires. So all three of them going for a brand new set of hard tires. We'll see where Lucas is going to come out. I think, well, it should still be ahead of Olivo in the McLaren, and I think he's going to be ahead of the Kick Sauber as well. So it's going to be clean air for Lucas, which is something that he needs. But Firebase, he comes out just behind the McLaren of Olivo and Mark, of course, in clean air as well down there in P12. But Lucas has got a 5-second gap towards Munich, so he's got a bit of time to get these stars up to temperature before he runs into some traffic once again. But that does left Laurens now with a 3.4 second lead ahead of Eric and Robbe, who are now released into clean air on these hard tires, and they will want to take these tires quite a long way, especially if it might rain towards the end. Ideally they want to save a pit stop and go towards the intermediates immediately, but the question will always be if it is going to rain as well. Hopefully gets now ahead of the Kick Sauber, put himself in P9, but unfortunately with a 3-second time penalty it might hurt him towards the end of the race. In the background, that is Firebase immediately trying to take advantage of the Kick Sauber, and he's going to go around the outside heading towards Spoon Curve, and that is the Mercedes up inside the top 10 once again, and still within the arrest range of the McLaren driver, as there something yellow flags there in the final chicane once again with Colin and Octavia, as Laurens keeps extending his lead over Eric, and Robbe is not getting close enough to get ahead of the Red Bull driver. Now, if I were Robert, I wouldn't fight too much with the Red Bull driver, especially, of course, Robert, he is on the controller as well, so his tire wear will be quite bad indeed. I don't think he might, we're not sure if he's going to be able to make it even to wet weather. As TV Chanel is into the pit lane, as Josko has spun coming out of turn 1 and losing a lot of time with that, dropping down to P6 behind Sheepy Gamer, as TV Chanel has gone for a set of softs, so he thinks that the rain might be coming quite a bit sooner then, but that is quite unfortunate there for Josko, as running a decent race up until this point, but unfortunately that spin has cost him there, losing a lot of time and tire wear on that hard tire, and dropping the position down to P6 as well. So Lucas is now caught up to the back of Mominik, as he wants to get by as soon as possible. So he completely hit the inside curb there, going into the first decking. That's just how close he was to running off track through the second one. As it's a mistake like that, it's just so easily made. But I think he's going to be able to get past the Kicksauber quite soon indeed, as Mominik using some battery to defend himself towards Spoon curve. But I think after that, he is defenseless against the Williams, as they turn into Spoon. And now on the exit, should Lucas be able to get a bit of a moment there on the traction zone. But now with the help of Slipstream, is he going to try and dare and go for it through 130R? Is going to wait until the final chicane, or maybe even start finish when he has the DRS. Of course, he doesn't want to lose too much time towards Lawrence, but I think he's going to have to sit behind for the time being, and he does so as they go into the braking zone of the final chicane. But now with the help of DRS, should be able to clear the Kicksauber finally, put himself into P7, and once again having a 5-second gap of clean air. As Olijvo into the pit lane with a 10-second time penalty, and he becomes our second retirement. So quite unfortunate for the McLaren driver, running in a good position, but picked up that 3-second time penalty, and now for some reasons has put an end to his Japanese Grand Prix, and he will score no points either. As at the front, Lawrence still going strongly Aston Martin. The gap's around 4 seconds towards Erik and Robbe, who are staying still there in second and third.
The race is going slowly, but I think that is Octavia, as Lucas is now approaching him as he overtakes him. Lucas there on the hardcore pound tyres, so trying to do a massive undercut on Lawrence there to make sure he has the deficit before Lawrence pits to go onto the medium power tyres. And Lucas, the only thing that could go wrong for him now is the threat of a safety car or rain, because if it rains right now, that means we'll have to go on the medium power tyres. Same with everybody else. Of course, there's a pit stop behind as well. So Lucas there tense times for the Williams driver, hoping rain just stays in the clouds for the time being and doesn't impact the circuit. But the threat of rain is still there, but towards the end of this race then. So 13 laps left to go in this race. It is still Lawrence who leads this race after making a return. He has had a long hiatus from SDN so far, but his return so far has put a statement drive amongst the rest of the drivers to think about as well, because he's still got the pace. I do believe he's been taking part in different activities. I'm not quite sure which esports team he's in, but he's super quick, as he always is, and unchallenged at the front of the field. I think his biggest threat is Lucas. Once he goes on to the compound tyres, he should be able to catch him with ease and quickly as well, despite the deficit he has towards Lucas right now. And Erik and Robbie Jacobs just happy to play second and third place as well, not fighting too hard, knowing that Lucas is also in race 2. But of course, these two will switch over to the medium power tyres later in this race. Hudson Lucas down, and Lucas's podium could be in jeopardy towards the Grand Prix with the fast medium runners approaching him very soon in this race there. So it is quite stale now in this Grand Prix, not much action as there always is at the at SDN. But Fireblaze has caught up to Mummy Nick and rides the back of the Kicksauber, who almost blocked him in qualifying, but just got out of the way in the nick of time as well. And Fireblaze will want to dispatch the Kicksauber like he did the last lap, and I think it was on TVHNL. But here we go then with the battery, but not going to defend this time, as the racing ball threatening yellow flags there in the first sector. That is Octavia. I really hope Octavia doesn't cause a safety car, because a safety car will be completely unnecessary. Yes, it'll benefit other people, but in terms of the race, we don't want the race fixed as well, because we just don't want to see any controversy. But Fireblaze there, just waiting, biding his time, not in a rush to overtake Mummy Nick, and all he needs to do is just overtake him on the straight with the DRS wide open, and it should be a textbook simple overtake, as he has much better grip on the hardcore power tyres. But Josko is in the pit lane to dispose his hardcore power tyres then. I wonder how long these guys are going to take the hardcore power tyres, because they still need the laps left in the end to catch up towards Lucas as Fireblaze goes up into P7. There's a Haas who spun out of turn 2. That is Colin, who's dropped down the order in P12. But these guys can't afford to leave it out too late on the hardcore parts tyres. Let's see what the gap is between Lucas and Lawrence. So the gap is 20.6. I'm not quite sure how big of a pit deficit is between in the pit stops there, but I know it's quite big indeed. But Lawrence's pace just seems to be super quick as well, consistent, because it's not really Lucas bringing down the gap by a milestone. It's been a few tenths here, a few tenths there, and Lucas needs a lot more pace in hand to try and get the gap down as much as he can before Lawrence makes his pit stop on the mini-carb power tyres. So it's not really working out so far for Lucas down there in P6. He's got clean air in front of him. His next target is Sheepy Gamer in the McLaren, also on the old hardcore power tyres, so should dispatch him with ease as the Racer Bull, who goes, well, slowing down in towards turn 2. That is Octavia, who is fighting with Colin, I think it is, or he's just by himself because he's been lapped by every single driver, including Octavia as well. So all out on his own so far. So there is 10 laps left to go in this race. Lawrence still leads. Eric is in P2. Are these guys, do they think they're going to be on the phone constantly to Mark, not Mark in P9, but Mark on the team radio, and saying, when is the rain coming? When is the rain coming? And they're just probably trying to extend so they can avoid doing another pit stop as well. So that's probably what they're doing right now, if the rain is coming in, because usually you see these people pit right about now, and the gap is 19.3 seconds there, so one more second has been taken out of Lawrence's advantage so far. Oh, Robert has retired. He's crashed. Robert's crashed. Where's that? That's the exit of the first Degner. How on earth has he done that? That is a bizarre place to crash indeed. He was right behind Eric. Did he touch the curb on the... I'm not quite sure how he did that, but unfortunately for him, he is out of the Grand Prix then. So no threat of a safety car, and now Eric has been left alone in the Red Bull now to just bring the car home to win the championship, and I don't think anything could go wrong for him so far. But Lucas, the gap is 18.6 towards Lawrence in the Aston Martin. If these guys, let's say, keep extending and the rain doesn't come, then Lucas is in a big shot to win this Grand Prix. How much time can they gain in about 8 or 9 laps? They could take out seconds against Lucas, but how many seconds as well? Indeed. Let's see. Yes, Lawrence is in the pit lane at the exit of this lap. Let's see what the gap is between himself and Lucas once he exits the pit lane.
Eric into the pit lane as well. His front tires were absolutely shredded, so he must have been close to puncture territory. Also Sasha into the pit lane as well. I expect Lucas to take the lead at least, but I don't think the gap will be significant between himself and Lawrence as he runs down the start-finish straight. And there it is, Lucas back into the lead of the race, with Lawrence just coming out of the pit lane right there, and he's going to be ahead of Fireblaze, who will jump up into P3. But Lawrence in second place and less than 3 seconds behind Lucas with 9 laps remaining. Mominik now in P4, but he still needs to make a pit stop. But he's completely in the way there of Eric. But on the exit, that is Red Bull getting clean past the kick Sauber, put himself back into P4, and he's now a full 6 seconds behind Fireblaze. But I reckon that he will be bringing that gap down quite quickly. Indeed, Sasha down comes out in P6 just ahead of Mark, and a few seconds up ahead will be Mominik. But Lawrence was around 3 seconds behind at the beginning of the lap. It's already down to 2.2, so he is absolutely rapidly bringing down that gap despite having the cold tires. But I don't think Lucas will stand a chance of winning this race unless something happens with a safety car or the rain comes out at the end. But fortunately for all these drivers, unable to make it towards the rain. But at the moment, it doesn't seem like there is rain coming yet. Of course, it is overcast, but I don't think we see any rain coming soon. But the gap's now 1.9, 1.8 seconds, and in a few laps time, I think Lawrence will be right at the back of Lucas. I say a few laps time, might be at the end of the next lap, where he will be potentially within DRS range with the chance with the time he's gaining at the moment on these brand new minutes. Sasha now getting ahead of Mominik in towards 130. A great move from the Ferrari driver indeed. Now can set his sights on Eric, but Eric is also on that same set of new mediums, so both of them will be trying to chase after Fireblaze in P3, who will be looking over his shoulder for these final 9 laps. Gap's around 5 seconds towards the Red Bull, so it's already shrunken down by around a second as Sheepy Gamer and Josko fight it out for P8 and P9. And McLaren ahead of the Alpine down the start finish. But look at that, Lawrence is already within DRS range of Lucas, and I think come around the next lap down the start-finish straight, we might see a potential overtake for the race leaders. Look how quickly he is bringing that gap down, and Fireblaze losing time a lot as well. But these drivers who are now on the mediums, they have to be careful that they don't wear out their tires too quickly. Well, unless there is rain coming, then they could push as flat out as they want, because they might have to switch over to intermediates in the next few laps. But at the moment, I think it is going to be staying dry, but the gap's down to 0.4 of a second through Spoon, and he's going to be right at the back of the Williams, who will be saving the battery through here. But I don't think there is much that Lucas could do when Laurens will be within DRS range down the start-finish straight. He's also got a half a battery to work around with, so we'll see how this fight is gonna play around as we come towards the final chicane. Lucas at the moment in the lead, but I don't think for much longer. Yellow flags down in sector 1, but here comes the Aston Martin with the help of DRS. He's not even going to pull into the slipstream of Lucas, but now with the help of slipstream going to go to the inside, in towards turn 1, side by side for the race lead, but through goes Laurens, and it's a great move indeed, and he puts himself back into the lead of this race, and there was really not much that Lucas could do to defend against that, and I think he is going to see the Aston Martin disappear off into the horizon, and he will be probably having to look backwards rather than forwards, because Erik, he's brought just another second down on the gap towards Fireblaze. It's around 3.5 seconds now, so in a few laps time he will be right at the back, but then it's another 3 seconds towards Lucas, so I'm not sure. I don't think Erik will be able to get second place here, but P3 is definitely possible, as he is very quickly gaining time on Fireblaze. Oh, big moment there coming out of the second deck. Now, he just hit the curb on the outside, completely unsettling the rear end of the car, and that is just how easy the mistake is made around this track, and the gap towards Sasha stays around 3.5 seconds. But we've got 7 laps to go after this. I don't think there will be much more of a fight for the race lead unless there is rain involved, but it looks like Laurens is now in the league of his own to drive forward towards victory.
Yeah, hopefully for him it's a plain sailing victory with no safety cars. I don't think nothing could go wrong for him. He's on a better medium compound tyres, and he should be able to bring it home now with no pressure from behind. Lucas's mighty defence, well, I say mighty defence, but there was nothing of a defence there. All he could do was defend to the right, and that was it, because Laurens just plain sailed past him as he goes quicker and quicker, stronger and stronger in this race. There is 6 laps left to go in the Grand Prix, and our focus now is on P3 between Fireblaze and Erik. The two Dutchmen there trying to fight for the final spot on the podium, and I don't think Erik can catch up towards Lucas, but Fireblaze is definitely a possibility as well. So I'm quite surprised that Erik is not able to catch up towards Lucas. Lucas has done a stunning job on those hardcore power tyres. The race win may have been out of the question, but Laurens has had the pace all the way through this Grand Prix, and nobody could stop him. And he's been, ever since the top pole position, he never looked backwards since then, and has controlled the pace beautifully. So the gap is 1.9 now between Erik and Fireblaze. So Fireblaze podium chances now getting slimmer and slimmer, with Erik arriving on the way, and on those mini compound tyres being much quicker through the corners. And I think Fireblaze will be under massive pressure very, very shortly in this race as well. So it's been a good recovery drive, and I think Fireblaze will get a P4 despite his qualifying position not being a great one indeed. I think he started down in P9. Yeah, he did. So he started out in 9th place, up into P3, but in the end, I think 4th place is what's expected in this race too. The gap is now 1.6 seconds, and Erik is catching him bit by bit, hand over fist indeed, and it's only a matter of time before Erik is right to the back of Fireblaze's tail to put the Dutchman under pressure. Last season's race winner here in Japan, once again, he's under pressure from a Red Bull, but in different scenarios, because he had Christian to fight with, and now he's got Erik to fight with here in Japan. But this time, much different scenarios, different strategies, and Erik there. It's on the mini compound tyres too, so Fireblaze hasn't got many tools at his disposal, and he's got his work cut out there in P3 indeed. And Erik slowly but surely gaining time now on the Dutchman of Fireblaze. I think Erik has been struggling the whole race in terms of pace, because he hasn't really had the pace to contend with the top two. Couldn't stay in the DRS range. He dropped out of DRS all by himself. And Robbie Jacobs said his tyre popped, so 16 lap on the hard compound tyres. Unfortunately, his tyre blew out, and he was out of the Grand Prix. So that's a shame there for Robbie Jacobs. Good pace, but not good time management. And I know how difficult it is, me being on the pad myself, how frustrating it is with the tyre differentiation between the wheel and the pad. But Erik now is in DRS range of Fireblaze then, so Fireblaze could kiss wave Eric goodbye and kiss his podium away, unfortunately. But he's been a good driver for Fireplace so far. The man who has always got some good race pace and usually is consistent and always on. Oh, Eric, massive snap out of Spoon there. He can't afford many of them indeed, but it looks like the track, the sun is starting to shine here. The land of the rising sun has now risen here in Japan finally after being surrounded by clouds. But Eric is right to the back of Fireblaze. There is nothing Fireblaze can do to defend this. I don't think he's got any defense in offer against Eric. Eric might simply just walk past him on the straight, but Fireblaze is defending for his life on the podium here. And let's see if Eric can fly past. The DRS is wide open, but on this occasion, no. Eric is not able to sweep by, and he's trying to go around the outside towards turn 2. There's no way, surely. Barely enough space there, as he has the inside line going towards 3 and the outside line going towards 4. Around the outside goes off the track, and Fireblaze might go back around the outside to reclaim P3. This is a mighty battle between these two there. This is a fight for the podium, and neither driver is willing to yield there, but Eric is putting more stress in those mini compound tyres. We know how quickly these mini compound tyres can fall off. But in Spain, both Williams drivers drove to perfection and executed the strategy perfectly against Eric on the mini compound tyres. But Eric there tried to go on the outside and almost ended the tears for the Red Bull driver, who was trying to go for a championship, but he wants the championship on the podium in P3 as Octavia has become a cropper in Spoon. And he's got a puncher, so 7 lap old soft compound tyres has sustained a puncture, unfortunately. So just don't do anything stupid. Just bring it back in the pit lane and don't cause a safety car. Hopefully not. But Eric then, his first attempt was unsuccessful, and now he's going to try and put the pressure against Fireblaze as well. Fireblaze doing everything he can in the legal ways, try and keep Eric behind, not being too erratic, not weaving too much either on the straights there. But you can see he's trying to harvest energy in the right place. But Eric, Fireblaze, a massive moment going in towards the Casio Triangle chicane as we exit the final corner. I don't think there's no defense for Fireblaze this time because Eric is too close, and Eric has a bit more ERS2 in his battery. Here we go. Then the DRS is wide open, and Fireblaze this time knows he's been defeated because Eric muscles him open to P3, and Eric there back on the podium again.
Great move indeed, as Octavia has been disqualified there from facing the wrong way, and I think that's a good thing for everyone in this race, as Josko gets back ahead of Sheep Game. But yeah, well done to Eric. Ahead now of Fireblaze, and I don't think that Fireblaze can fight back against that, because Eric would still have the tire advantage for these final few laps. Sasha is just 2.4 seconds behind, but of course he has got a 3-second time penalty, so I don't think, even if he does overtake Fireblaze, he won't be able to break free of the Mercedes by over 3 seconds, because in a few laps time those mediums will be at the end of their lifespan. And at the moment Fireblaze is staying within the DRS range of Eric, but I don't think with too much longer, as the gap's around 8 to 9 tenths of a second, and Eric is only around 2.5 seconds behind Lucas. So we've got 3 laps to go in this race with the gap around 2.5 seconds. Can he get within DRS range to try and go for second place? Of course, he doesn't need it to win the championship, but if he can go for it, he will go for it probably to take away that second place. But at the moment, Fireblaze is doing enough to stay within DRS range. I think that is helping as well against Sasha behind, because he won't be able to close in as quickly if Fireblaze would be without DRS range. As we go on towards lap 25 of 27, the gap at the front is over 7 seconds now between Laurens and Lucas. Laurens completely in a world of his own, and he will be bringing home victory in 2 laps time. But the fight's going to be behind them for 2nd and 3rd place, as Shippy Game and Josko continue to fight it out for 7th and 8th place with the McLaren driver. He's also got a 3-second time penalty, so in the end it won't really matter in who is going to take away that position. But at the moment Lucas is able to stabilize the gap towards Eric, and of course Eric is now 7 laps on these medium tires, and I think they did around 9, 10, 11 laps on the first stint. So he must be starting to feel the effects of tire wear. And if he does start to feel the effects of tire wear, then he could still be under pressure from Fireblaze as long as the Mercedes driver stays within DRS range. So we might see another battle in the final few laps for 3rd place. But at the moment Fireblaze is doing his best to hold on to the DRS range of the Red Bull driver. The gap's now down to 2 seconds, but he only has gained around half a second on this lap, and with 2 laps to go he might bring it down to just under a second. But yeah, getting within 1 second is one thing, overtaking is going to be another, and given he's only got around 2 more opportunities with the help of DRS, I don't think he will be able to get close enough to find a way past the Williams driver. But you never know. Of course, if Lucas makes a mistake, the Red Bull driver could be right at the back of the Williams driver to take away that second place. If we go on to lap 26, the penultimate lap of this race, the gap's 1.8 seconds. Fireblaze has been brought with the Red Bull driver to go after the Williams driver, and it's going to be quite close between these three. Sasha is just 2 seconds behind. I don't think he's going to be playing any part in this battle for the podium, and he's just going to have to settle for a 5th place. But the gap's now 1.7 seconds. Can Erik get within 1 second as Mark and Sheepy Gamer are fighting out of the exit there of turn 1? They go wheel to wheel through the S's. The McLaren on the outside of the Aston Martin. That's a great move indeed there from Sheepy Gamer. So Mark really struggling on these hard tires. 14 laps he's done so far, and Sheepy Gamer has found a way past the Aston Martin to put himself into P6, but of course still with that time penalty probably will drop down to P8 by the end of it. But Mark is very close to the back now as this fight is going to be continuing on as well towards the hairpin. There he goes, the Aston Martin swooping around the outside and taking that position back with ease. But now look at the gap between P2 and P3 as they still go side by side on the exit. But the gap is now 1.3 seconds. Erik needs to get within DRS range to have any chance onto the final lap of the race, but I think he's just going to fall a lap or two short.
He is. He's run out of battery, but he's pulled away from Fireblaze crucially, so his P3 is secured, or has he? Because Fireblaze is right there, back again in DRS, but too far away to make a move down in towards turn 1. This is the last lap of the Grand Prix. We haven't talked about this Dutchman for the time being. He's pulled away. He has dominated the Japanese Grand Prix, and this is the moment where everything comes full circle for Erik, a driver who has always had the raw speed, always had that undeniable edge over a single lap. But in seasons gone by, he has been inconsistent, small errors, and missed opportunities that hold him back from true greatness. But this season has been a transformation. He hasn't been just quick. He's been composed, calculated, and relentless indeed. The mistakes that want to find his races that ironed out, replaced by a level controlled and race intelligence that sets champions apart from contenders week after week. He's delivered wins when it mattered, podiums, and when he needed a damage limitation, above all, a level of consistency that has suffocated that competition as well. His driver style has evolved from aggressiveness and sometimes overreaching as well. It is something far more refined, knowing when to attack, when to manage, and when to simply take advantage and what's available for him. And that balance and maturity is exactly why now he stands on the brink of becoming champion. This isn't just about speed anymore. This is about a driver who has learned, adapted, and elevated himself into a true champion this season. We've had 6 champions so far, and it's about showing the greatness of them as well. Fireblaze, the first 2 seasons he took the championship, but we're about to make our way towards the final corner. Lawrence is going to win the Japanese Grand Prix. What an amazing drive for the Dutchman, but all eyes to the man in P3, and Erik will become the 5th champion of SDN. Here he comes towards the final 2 corner, and Erik is the new SDN champion. Congratulations, 5 wins, 11 podiums to his name, and he's not just secured a victory today, but for the rest of the season he has taken the championship and taken a massive step forward, as well as what's going on in the final couple of corners there, with a few drivers there just making mistakes, and Sasha, a lot of people picking up penalties towards the end of the Grand Prix. Not quite sure what happened there indeed, but Sasha finishes in P8, and not quite sure what happened indeed. But this season, it's all about a culmination of growth, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of perfection for Erik indeed in P3. What an amazing championship season it has been for the Dutchman, and he has really stepped to the mark, because last season and season before, he was known for making mistakes and making silly decisions as well, contact, penalties, etc. And he took 1 win as well back in Monza a couple of seasons ago, but he's not had his way forward since then, except Silverstone last season or the season before. But congratulations to Erik. He is now the new champion of SDN, and only Fireblaze has become the driver who has won more than 1 championship in SDN, season 1 and season 2, and we're going to have a new champion as well. So we've had new champions in the past few seasons, and it was Kevin Zuckerberg who won the championship last season, but the Dutchman has only had 1 podium so far, which was back at the Austrian Grand Prix, and not had another win since then either. So Erik has taken the benchmark, and he's taken a step forward to win, and he has grasped it. He's taken the opportunity with his 2 hands, and he's done an exceptional job as well. The man to beat, and he's been so consistent, and that's why he deserves the championship today. Congratulations to Erik, finally won a championship, and he completely deserves it as well. I'm so happy for him.
Great drive from Eric as well. Yeah, consistently performed this season. So a very well-deserved champion. And of course tonight he did a great race as well. He did what he needed to do. Didn't take any big risks. He just drove his Red Bull towards the podium. They made a nice overtake on Fireblaze and secured what he needed to do. So yeah, congratulations to the Red Bull driver, well-deserved champion. Incredible season for him, as he has been quite a dominant force this season, it must be said. But so great drive from him and great drive from Laurens as well. Simply dominated this Japanese Grand Prix. Pole position, race win, and fastest lap. All points he could get, and really wasn't anyone who was able to get anywhere near. Lucas finished almost around 10 seconds behind him. So yeah, great race it was around Suzuka, and always and also good to have no safety car at the end for a change. So yeah, really good to see that. But really enjoyed that one. And Eric, well, congratulations on the championship.
Indeed, there is still 3 races left to go. There's still 3 races left to go this season. And the next one's up is Brazil, Las Vegas, and Abu Dhabi. The championship may have been wrapped up today, but there's still plenty more chances for drivers in the midfield to move up a few races too, because I think the battle between Fireblaze, Kick, and Sasha are quite close, and Miles too. Miles Marcus hasn't been here for a long time either. Lucas might get Miles, but the champion is in the party. It is the name of Eric. Last season champion was Kevin, this season Eric. And Eric, congratulations on being the new champion of SDN. Make sure your voice is allowed to be shared. But talk us through your feelings and emotions this season, how this championship has shaped it for you.
I don't know, I drove quite a few good races, but my first half of the season was quite a bit better than my second half. So, but I'm still proud of my season and really happy.
What has changed for you this season? Because I know in the last couple of seasons, you were there, but you made a lot of mistakes as well, and you really have changed your driver style and adapted to a new one as well. So we'll talk about the changes you have made heading towards this season.
Well, I don't know. I'm just more experienced than the start of the game. I think that really helps, and the grid, like Kevin, hasn't really been attending races. So that's helped as well, I think.
And also as well, talk us through what has been your best race this season. What have you enjoyed about this season too?
Oh, I need to take a look, I think. I don't really know. I liked Baku, I think. That was quite a fun race, I think. Monza as well, I think.
Baku and Monza. I don't really remember Baku.
Yeah.
Did we have Baku? Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was a stop.
Yeah.
It was a great race for you, Baku, because you pulled a gap of miles towards the end because he was catching you. Yeah, that was a great race from you as well. What has been the biggest challenges this season for you?
I think the safety cars, which quite a few people at the back of the grid are playing around the final 10 laps. So that's always scary to maybe have a safety car.
Well, congratulations. I don't know what other questions to ask you because I haven't really prepared for it, but how do you think this race went for you, Japan? Because it looked like in the first stint you were struggling. The gap was 1.2, 1.0 in the first stint. You wasn't able to catch towards Lucas. So talk us through, was it a setup issue? Were you not confident around in Japan? Did you practice for it?
I made a mistake in sector 1. I don't know what happened really, turn 5. I just lost the rear and couldn't really recover. And I don't know, I just hate this track really. I'm slow. And the wings are quite low around this track, so that doesn't help as well.
And talk us through the strategy, because we saw a mixture of people on the hard and medium power tyres. What was the weather radar telling you? What was Marta telling you on the pit wall during the race?
Yeah, the fourth thing of the weather forecast was wet, but there was just no rain at all in the race. So I don't really know what happened with that, but yeah.
Well, congratulations, Eric, today. I want to say the word in Dutch, but I can't pronounce it. Is it gefeliciteerd?
Yeah, close enough, I think. Yeah, good.
can't say the word properly. It's a long word indeed, and it's difficult. But
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, congratulations on your championship, mate. Well done this season. You've been absolutely on fire this season.
Yeah, thank you, mate.
You're welcome, mate. Milan, you got any questions for Eric?
No, just first off, congratulations on the championship. Incredible season. And well, one question maybe. So, did you go into this race with the mindset that you wanted to win the championship, or did you just treat it as any other single race you had this season?
Well, I knew if I were like P7, I think P6, P7, I would be champion. So yeah, it was not really one of my most important factors, I think.
All right, mate. But yeah, congratulations on the championship. Really well done this season.
Thank you.
Have you enjoyed the commentary this season, Eric? For me and Milan?
They've been lovely.
Oh,
Absolute goats.
Donkey ball, mate. I
Thank you,
appreciate it. Thank you. We try to do our best
you.
every race for you guys. Hey, love you too.
Yeah, love you.
But yeah, that is the end of the Japanese Grand Prix. Eric is crowned champion, like Sebastian Verstappen wearing Red Bull in 2011 and 2022. But another Dutchman has been crowned this season as champion. I think every single champion in SDN has been Dutch. Fireblaze, Mike, Kick, Kevin and Eric, and Fireblaze is the only repeat champion of SDN. Nobody can emulate his record so far, but Eric could, or have the same record as him next season in Season 7. But that is it then for the Japanese Grand Prix. The next one up is at, I've already actually forgotten because I just looked like a couple of seconds ago, but the next one is at the Brazilian Grand Prix, South America, and always produces some fantastic races, so hopefully we get the same thing. Remember, it was Eastbound versus, Eastbound was a champion too, a couple of seasons ago. It was Eastbound versus Fireblaze, but there was no championship fight towards the end of the season for anybody because Eric has sealed the deal in round number 8. And that is it then. Milan Langer, thank you very much for commentating with me as always, mate. Always is a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Really enjoyed this one and always enjoyed it as well. So looking forward to the next one, mate.
Ik hou van jou.
Over jou.
Oh.
Ik spreek je later tot ziens. Dankjewel.